The last broadcast. It started with a storm. Not the kind of storm people remember for lightning or rain. This one felt alive. The sky above Black Hollow, West Virginia turned dark hours before sunset, and the air carried a strange metallic smell, like old blood mixed with burnt wires. Every television station lost signal at exactly 7:13 p.m. Every radio station turned to static. Every phone line died. And then, the voice appeared. Ethan Cole was driving through the mountains when it happened. He worked as a late-night investigative journalist in Pittsburgh, the kind of guy who chased ghosts, stories and unsolved disappearances for cheap online documentaries. Most of the time, the stories were fake. People loved shadows and mystery. Ethan loved proving them wrong. But tonight was different. Rain slammed against his windshield while his old Ford pickup crawled through the empty highway. The GPS had already stopped working. The radio hissed with static. Then a voice whispered through the speakers, "Turn back." Ethan frowned. "What the hell?" The radio crackled again. "Turn back before it sees you." The signal died. Ethan slowed the truck. The highway ahead disappeared into thick fog. He checked his phone. No signal. A wooden sign emerged from the mist. "Welcome to Black Hollow. Population 312. Underneath, someone had scratched another message into the wood. "Don't listen to the broadcast." A chill crawled up Ethan's spine. Normally, this would have excited him. Perfect content for his channel. Small creepy town. Mysterious warning. Stormy night. Millions of views. He grabbed his camera bag and drove into town. Black Hollow looked abandoned. Streetlights flickered weakly. Most houses were dark. A diner sat on the corner with a neon open sign buzzing on and off. Ethan parked outside. The moment he stepped inside, every person in the diner turned and stared at him. Nobody spoke. The waitress slowly lowered the coffee pot in her hand. An old man near the window tightened his grip around a shotgun resting beside him. Ethan forced a smile. Rough weather tonight." No one answered. Finally, a woman in her 60s approached him. Her face looked pale and exhausted. "You need to leave," she said quietly. "Actually, I'm a journalist," Ethan replied. "I heard strange stories about this town. I'm making a documentary." The woman's expression changed from fear to horror. "You said that too." Ethan blinked. "What?" Before she could answer, the lights flickered. Every person in the diner froze. The old clock on the wall ticked. 8 p.m. The radio behind the counter suddenly turned on by itself. Static screamed through the speakers. Then came a man's voice. Deep, slow, almost inhuman. "Good evening, Black Hollow." Everyone in the diner lowered their heads. Some began praying. The voice continued. "Tonight, we welcome a visitor." Ethan felt cold. "How does it know I'm here?" he whispered. Nobody answered. The voice chuckled softly. "Ethan Cole, age 32. Born in Pittsburgh. Investigative reporter. You should not have come here." Ethan stumbled backward. His heart hammered. "How the hell?" The radio screeched. "Run." The diner lights exploded. Darkness swallowed the room. Then came the sound. Something scratching across the roof. Heavy, slow, deliberate. People screamed. The old man grabbed his shotgun. It found him. The creature above them moved. Crow-like. Wood splintered overhead. A giant hand punched through the ceiling. Not human. Its skin looked gray and stretched tight over bones. Its fingers were impossibly long, and black liquid dripped from its nails. Ethan ran. The entire diner erupted into chaos behind him. He burst through the front door into the rain. Something massive crashed onto the street behind him. He turned for 1 second, and saw it. Tall, at least 9 feet. Its body twisted like broken branches. Its face had no eyes, only a huge mouth stretching from ear to ear. Inside the mouth, human teeth, thousands of them. The creature smiled. Then it spoke using the same voice from the radio. "You heard the broadcast." Ethan sprinted. Rain flooded the streets as Ethan ran through Black Hollow. Behind him, the creature moved unnaturally fast. Its limbs cracked every time they touched the ground. People locked their doors. Windows slammed shut. Nobody helped him. He spotted a church at the end of the road. Light glowed through the stained glass. Ethan rushed inside. The priest quickly bolted the doors. "You shouldn't have come here," the priest whispered. Ethan gasped for breath. "What is that thing?" The priest stared toward the windows. "We call it the broadcaster." Thunder shook the church. "It came here in 1987, the priest continued. "After the mine collapse, Ethan listened carefully. 30 miners died underground. Rescue teams never found the bodies. But 3 days later, the town's radio station started broadcasting voices from the dead. The priest's hands trembled. At first people thought it was a prank. Then residents began disappearing. One every night, always after the broadcast. A loud bang echoed against the church doors. The creature was outside. BNG. Another hit. The townspeople learned the truth too late. The priest said. The voices weren't coming from the dead. The thing underground was learning to imitate them. Ethan felt sick. What does it want? The priest looked directly into his eyes. To be heard. The windows shattered. The creature's arm reached inside. People screamed. The priest shoved Ethan toward a staircase. Go to the basement. Ethan hesitated. What about you? The priest grabbed a shotgun from beneath the altar. I've survived this long. The church doors exploded inward. The broadcaster entered. Its body unfolded like a spider. And then it began speaking. Not with one voice. With dozens. Men, women, children, all screaming together. Don't let it take me. Help, please. Ethan covered his ears. The priest fired. The shotgun blasted through the creature's shoulder. Black liquid splashed across the church walls. The broadcaster slowly turned its head, then smiled. It mimicked the priest's voice perfectly. God can't hear you here. The creature lunged. Ethan ran into the basement. Behind him came screams. Then silence. The basement smelled like mold and old books. Candles flickered weakly across stone walls. In the center of the room sat a woman chained to a chair. She looked around Ethan's age. Her dark hair hung over her face. When she saw him, her eyes widened. You're not from here. Ethan cautiously approached. Who are you? My name is Claire. Why are you chained up? Claire looked toward the ceiling. Because I can hear it. A low scratching sound echoed above them. Ethan quickly unlocked her chains. You need to explain everything right now. Claire rubbed her wrists. The broadcaster doesn't kill randomly, she said. It chooses people who listen to the signal. What signal? The frequency hidden beneath the town broadcasts. Ethan frowned. Claire continued. It speaks through radios, televisions, phones, anything that carries sound. Once you hear the real signal, it can find you anywhere. Ethan's stomach dropped. The voice on the highway. He heard it. Claire saw the realization on his face. You heard it already, didn't you? Ethan nodded slowly. Her expression darkened. Then it won't stop until you're dead. Thunder boomed overhead. The basement lights flickered. Then every candle went out. Darkness. A voice whispered from the corner. Claire. She froze. Ethan turned toward the sound. A little boy stood in the shadows. Except, his neck bent too far sideways. And his smile was impossibly wide. Claire whispered one word. No. The boy stepped forward. Mommy. Ethan looked at her. That's your son. Tears filled Claire's eyes. He died 8 years ago. The dead child smiled wider. Then his jaw split open. A radio speaker pushed out from inside his throat. Static blasted through the basement. The broadcaster's voice echoed from the child's body. Found you. The corpse charged. Ethan grabbed a metal pipe and swung. Crack. The child's head twisted backward. But it kept moving. Claire screamed. More voices emerged from the darkness. Dozens of them. Dead townspeople. All smiling. All moving unnaturally. The broadcaster was using them like puppets. Ethan and Claire ran through a tunnel behind the church. The tunnel descended deep underground, far below the town. The deeper they went, the louder the static became. After nearly 20 minutes of crawling through narrow mine tunnels, they reached a massive underground chamber. Ethan stopped breathing. Thousands of old radios covered the walls, some hanging from chains, some buried in flesh growing from the stone. Every radio whispered at once. Voices, crying, screaming, begging. At the center of the cavern stood a giant tower made from human bodies. Still moving, still alive. Faces twisted from the flesh, mouths opening and closing silently. Wires ran through their skin. And at the top of the tower sat the broadcaster, connected to everything. Its huge mouth slowly opened. Welcome home, Ethan. Ethan nearly collapsed. Claire pulled him back. That thing feeds on fear and sound, she whispered. We have to destroy the signal source. What source? Claire pointed behind the flesh tower. An old radio transmitter stood against the cavern wall, still running, covered in blood. The miners found something underground in 1987, she explained. Something ancient, not human. They tried using the transmitter to contact the surface, Instead, it contacted them. The broadcaster climbed down from the tower. Its bones cracked with every movement. "You cannot silence me." The cavern shook. The dead bodies on the walls began screaming. Ethan covered his ears. Blood dripped from his nose. Claire handed him a small lighter. "Burn the transmitter." The creature rushed toward them. Ethan sprinted across the cavern. The broadcaster screamed with hundreds of voices. "Don't leave me alone." Dead hands burst from the ground, grabbing Ethan's legs. He kicked free. The transmitter crackled violently. Claire tackled the creature to slow it down. "Go," she screamed. The broadcaster wrapped its enormous arms around her. Bones snapped. Claire cried out in pain. Ethan reached the transmitter. The machine hummed loudly. On the speaker, he heard every missing person, every victim, including the priest, including Claire's son, and suddenly, his own voice. "Help me." Ethan froze. The broadcaster smiled. "You are already part of me." Static erupted from the transmitter. Visions flooded Ethan's mind. Dark tunnels, ancient creatures beneath the earth, voices older than humanity. The thing underground wasn't a monster. It was a signal, something alive made from sound itself. And Black Hollow was only the beginning. Ethan snapped back to reality. Claire screamed again. The creature was tearing her apart. Ethan ignited the lighter, then threw it into the transmitter. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then fire exploded through the cavern. The radio screamed. The flesh tower convulsed violently. The broadcaster let out a horrifying sound unlike anything human. Its body began collapsing inward. Faces melted. Bones twisted. The cavern started caving in. Claire looked at Ethan. "Run!" Ethan sprinted through the tunnels as the underground world collapsed behind him. The screams followed him all the way to the surface. By sunrise, Black Hollow was gone. The entire town had collapsed into the earth. Rescue teams later blamed the storm, gas leaks, mine instability. No survivors were found. Ethan never told anyone the truth. Nobody would believe him. Months passed. He stopped making documentaries, stopped sleeping, stopped answering calls. Because every night at exactly 8 p.m., he heard static. Sometimes his television, sometimes from his phone, sometimes from inside the walls. And every time, he heard Claire screaming. One night, Ethan finally smashed every electronic device in his apartment. Silence. He sat alone in darkness, relieved. Then his bathroom radio turned on by itself. Static filled the room. Ethan slowly looked toward the mirror. A figure stood behind him, tall, thin, smiling. The broadcaster, burned, broken, but alive. Its mouth opened slowly, and using Ethan's own voice, it whispered, "This is only the first broadcast." The apartment lights exploded. Neighbors later reported hearing screams all night. But when police entered Ethan's apartment the next morning, it was empty. The only thing left behind was an old radio, still playing static. And if someone listens closely late at night, just before the signal cuts out, they can hear Ethan call begging for help.